In this video, I want to look at some of the areas that are under constant change in Windows 10 so that you won't be surprised when I show you where something is, and then by the time you look at it and see this video, it has changed or moved. So here are some of the changes going on quite regularly, and of course there are likely to be others as well. One is the Control Panel and the Settings app. The Control Panel has been around for a long time. I'm going to go down here to this search box in the lower left corner and type Control, and then we'll just click Control Panel. This is the Control Panel as we've seen it for many years, but many things are being moved out of the Control Panel and into the Settings app. In order to get to the Settings app, I'll click the Start button here and go to this little gear icon that says Settings, and you'll see the Settings app. As you can see, they're similar in that some of these things are the same, like ease of access and ease of access. These take you to similar settings, but in different format. In fact, some things now in the Control Panel, I'm going to close the Settings app for a moment and go to System and Security and then just click System. You'll see that it actually opens up the Settings app. So many of these things are just totally being moved and taken out of the Control Panel completely. And we'll see that more and more every version of Windows. It seems like something else has been removed and moved into the Settings app. Another emphasis that's going on is cloud computing. I'm going to go to my browser, and I am already here at the Microsoft Azure site, which is their cloud computing site, and you can see I'm already logged in. If I click Portal here, you'll see that I have a virtual server running right now. I'm going to click Virtual Machines, and here we go. I have a virtual server that's running and ready to use. And operating systems like Server as well as Windows 10 even can be run in the cloud rather than on my physical machine. This can free up a lot of our expensive physical machine requirements and make computers lower cost. I'm going to click this Server 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and click Connect, and I'll use Remote Desktop Protocol. So here it gives me a remote desktop IP address, and I can download this little RDP file onto my desktop, and by starting up that file I can now log into that machine. And there's our remote desktop connection, and now I'm looking at my server on a Microsoft machine, not on my own physical machine. We may actually be doing this in the future with Windows 10, 11, 12, whatever, and more be running our operating system not on our own hardware, but on Windows hardware. It'll probably be a while, but that's one of the areas that we tend to be going. I'm going to disconnect from this machine now. Another thing that we're using more and more besides cloud computing, or besides operating systems in the cloud, are storage in the cloud, where, for example, OneDrive, which is now built into Windows 10, can store your files directly on a cloud server, and we're getting away more and more from those USB thumb drives, like, let's see if I have one here, like this. We're getting away from these more and more and storing things on things like OneDrive and other cloud storage services. Applications are also being moved to the cloud. So rather than having Office built on your machine, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you can actually run them right off of the Azure cloud, for example. Another thing that's changing constantly are mobile apps and IoT, or I shouldn't say mobile apps, but mobile versions of Windows and IoT, or Internet of Things. So Windows 10 now runs on tablets, phones. In the future we'll see things, Windows versions of Windows that run on refrigerators, security systems, lighting systems, and that kind of thing. More and more we're seeing emphases in those things. Another one is containerization. We'll see that more and more. A container is simply, well, it's not that simple, it's kind of complicated, but think of a little box within your system that can run applications that has its own little tiny mini operating system built right into that container. So for example, I could run maybe Apple applications or Linux applications on my machine because it's got a little mini version of that operating system built right into it. Those will be more and more popular. Right now we're not seeing the graphical user interface end user apps run that way, but we're seeing applications like, for example, a web server, web apps run in containers. So we're seeing that, and I think eventually we'll begin to see end user apps running containers, maybe. So I'm not sure where that's going to go at this point, but that's my guess. We're also seeing an emphasis on something called UWP Apps. Now, traditional apps, if I open my File Explorer here in the C drive, I have these folders called Program Files and Program Files x86, which are 32-bit programs. And inside these are the programs that I have on my machine. And if I open any one of these up, let's say this everything, I'll have these executable files in here. We're getting away from these kinds of desktop apps more and more, and instead installing things through the the Microsoft Store. So let's go to the Microsoft Store. These are UWP, or Universal Windows Platform apps, and they do not install like a traditional app. You can't easily put them on a disk and move them from one place to another. So these are becoming more popular. They are more resistant to hacking. So you'll see more and more of these UWP apps. By the way, a couple of examples of them are this settings app. That is a UWP style app. I will not find a settings app in my program files. Another one is the Edge browser, which is replacing Internet Explorer. So the Edge browser is a UWP app, whereas Internet Explorer was a desktop app. So that will be more and more common. So those are some of the big areas of change. You will see others, but those are some of them that I suspect as I go through this course, you'll find when you run those things on your own machine, you'll find them being different or looking different or disappearing or new things added in some of those areas.